Hello and welcome to the Cycle Power Summit live kickoff. I'm so glad we're here. Hi, Melissa.
Hello, Anna. It's good to be here. The day's arrived. And did we
I
think we would
know.
be in a global pandemic? No, we
It's
did not.
amazing. I know
Yeah.
it's been such a roller coaster, and we don't need to get into that all right now, but I
No,
just
I
want to.
just I just want to celebrate that we're here. We've
Amen.
been working on this
Amen.
for months and months, and I think now is the perfect time to join together and celebrate women.
It is the perfect time. It's been such a roller coaster trying to decide if it's the perfect time, is the right time or whatever, but is not what life's all about, trying to decide.
Mhm.
But the fact remains, what it comes down to is that women need this. There's so much here to offer in Cycle Power Summit, and I'm super excited for that. And with that, I just want to go over what to expect over the next 5 days, because we get a lot of questions. So I want to address those questions about what's going to happen. So
Right.
yeah, welcome. Hi, you guys. We've got a ton of people popping in already. Anna or Anna, how I say Anna, and maybe you might say Anna. And Oleg, Karen, Jacqueline, welcome. Hi. Hello, everybody. So over the next 5 days, so the summit begins tomorrow, April 16th, and you will receive an email at 9 a.m. US Eastern Time with a link to that day's sessions. And each day, all the sessions for that day will be released at 9 a.m. US Eastern Time. We didn't do them on a schedule throughout the day because everybody's hardly even remember what day it is, let alone what time it is, right? So that's why we structured it that way. And you will have, if you have the free pass, you'll have free access to those videos, those sessions through the end of the summit. So April 20th, 11:59 p.m. U.S. Pacific time, to give you the most time to watch all those sessions. If you have the premium pass, then you log into the premium pass and you have lifetime access there. And we can go over more of the premium pass later. But hey, Dr. Owens here and Krista, welcome. Okay, I'm going to check my notes to make sure that I'm covering everything you need to know.
Okay, awesome.
About the summit. What have I missed, Mel?
I think you've got it. I'm just so excited to be here, excited to start this amazing event with so many fantastic people, experts and change makers in the area of women's health. And it's, I can't believe it's already here.
I know. These men and women are amazing, and they're world changers, literally. And I'm completely honored to be among them. One thing we've done to make things super easy on everyone this year is created a dashboard for the summit. So you should already have a link in your email. If you are registered, check your email. You have a link to the dashboard. We have a Cycle Power Summit dashboard, so that will have links to all of the day's sessions, to log into your premium pass, to attend the Q&A sessions that we've also just announced on Saturday and Monday. We'll have live Q&A sessions. We've got Dr. Martin Owen, we've got Dr. Marguerite Duane, we've got Dr. Nicholas Kangawasa, and two of the amazing ladies who work in his office, and Dr. Elisa Yao are all going to join us for these Q&A sessions. So also on the dashboard, you have links where you can submit a question to ask these amazing healthcare providers. So everything on the dashboard. I just also added, if we have doctors or nurses who are attending this, we are pursuing the option with Vitae CME to get continuing medical education credits for watching the summit session. So there's a place on the dashboard, if you're interested in that, to sign up for a wait list, so you'll get all the information about that.
Oh, this is so fantastic, Anna. There is really something for everybody in the summit, from women who are curious about their cycle, women who've been charting for a while and ready to take it to the next level, to doctors and nurses who are needing CMEs. With so many conferences being canceled, this is such a beautiful opportunity. And let me tell you, as one of the co-hosts, I did many of the interviews in the summit. I learned so much. It just really is mind-blowing, the amount of valuable information, and I'm ready to watch them again because it is
Me
such
too.
rich content that, I'm when you're on the side of talking, you're learning, but I'm ready to get back in and take some notes.
Me too. I feel like I've just flown through some of the content just to, get it out there and
Mhm.
all the logistics that come in with this. But I do want to get back to, there's so much that I learned just in those interviews. And I know you've said the same. It's, it's incredible. And I just want to speak a little bit to what we're trying to do here. And Melissa, I know that you've heard, as well as I have, so many times women saying to you, to us as practitioners, or just any women out there, why did I not know about this? When
Mhm.
you're finally teaching them the basics of cycle charting and offering this option of this restorative healthcare that's not mainstream, why did I not know about this? Why did my doctor not tell me that this period on the birth control pill is not a real period?
Mhm.
Why did I not know that there are these other options for family planning? Why did I not know that this artificial, these hormones are shutting down my natural hormones? What is going on here? I just want some answers. And this is really such a driving force behind what we're trying to do with Cycle Power Summit. This has to stop because there are options out there. And that's what this is all about. That's what, these amazing men and women, these doctors and healthcare providers, we have researchers, scientists, fertility awareness instructors who have and are dedicating their lives to promoting this true body literacy and understanding of the female body and the reproductive system, and men as well, to provide this restorative care. And that's who we've gathered in the summit.
It
It's
really is an all-star lineup, and you're
Yeah.
absolutely right, Anna, when you say, we've all heard it. If you are in this industry, you have heard it. I just earlier today, so my morning was spent working with clients, and I heard the very same thing. I just am surprised that I haven't heard of this information before. It's so empowering,
Yeah.
and it never gets old. I say that every time, but it never gets old, and that's why you will find that the men and women who work in restorative women's healthcare and fertility awareness are some of the most passionate people you will ever meet, because they just they want to bring this truth to men and women.
They know how powerful it is.
Hmm.
What's interesting though, and Melissa, I believe there's two parts to this. There's two parts to changing this, how our culture looks at women's healthcare, especially in the West. I believe, for all the knowledge and information that you will hear from the speakers during the Cycle Power Summit, there's still a culture that we need to change as women, and as patients and as couples and the receivers of healthcare. And it's I believe centered around the language that we use, the taboo around the period, and the cycle stigma, if you will, and really a silent suffering from so many things, a silent suffering from infertility, endometriosis, PCOS. It's this hidden thing. So I believe really that at the core of what we can truly change is a conversation that begins with each one of us. It's a conversation that we have with our body, and understanding that language of the body and appreciating that this is how it works. And this, what I'm observing and what's coming out of my body is an external sign of an internal reality that is true and beautiful, right? And so I think, when we can start that conversation change with ourselves, and then we can do that conversation change with each other, and when we can create a new normal where it's just it's acceptable to say, hey, where are you in your cycle, when you're at a family gathering or something, and are just commenting that, wow, my periods have been rough and irregular. Do you have any idea what's going on? Have you experienced this before? And it doesn't carry any shame or awkwardness. It's just normal and it's real. And I think when we can open that conversation between women as a natural thing and as a point of connection between millions of women every day across the world, I mean, can you imagine? It just makes it normal. And I believe we can open the floodgates for mainstream fertility restoration and a true women's healthcare. So I want to invite this. I want to invite all of you who are listening now to be part of this conversation because it can just create a true transformation, to be empowered with knowledge, to share it with others across all borders. And we can do this.
It's so beautiful, Anna. And for all of you who just heard Anna's beautiful dream, this is not an ideal. This is a reality that we're just spreading. So she has put together a beautiful Cycle Power Summit team. And these are the conversations that we have. Every team meeting, we check in. And if we're struggling or in a difficult place for our cycle or energized by our feminine energy, we share that. And we have no shame. It's not taboo. The conversations that we had with each person that we interviewed in the presentations, this is just normal conversation. We're learning and we're growing. And so it's not an ideal. It's something that is happening. We're just getting it out there to the masses. We want this to be common, not something that just a small segment of women know about or are confident about. And you're right, it starts within. Yeah. And once you start understanding how your body works, that increases your self-awareness, your self-literacy, your self-esteem, and you want to share that with other women. And Anna, I know that you and I have both gone through that type of transformation. That's why we are here today, sharing this and inviting women into the conversation. Absolutely. And men as well.
Absolutely. Hey, we've got some exciting things today. We've got a guest I want to bring on who has done amazing work in supporting other women particularly for natural family planning. But first, I want to begin our first giveaway. So what we're going to give away for this first one is a copy of The Fifth Vital Sign from Lisa Hendricks Jack. She's been an amazing leader in a fertility awareness space. She founded Fertility Friday podcast, and her book, now it's been a little bit over a year that her book, The Fifth Vital Sign, has come out. So we want to give away a copy of that. So in the chat, and this is going to go on for 48 hours because we want people to be able to participate who are here on replay. Speaking of, if you're here on replay, use the hashtag replay to enter your entry here. So in the comments, I want to hear, where are you from? And how long you've been charting your cycle. Okay, some of you have already gone through. Hello from Zagreb, Croatia. We've got so many comments in here, and I want to answer a couple questions here in a minute. But where are you from, and how long have you been charting your cycle? If you're not yet, totally fine. 0 days or 0 minutes or whatever.
Mm-hmm. That's the perfect time to start charting.
Absolutely.
Today.
Absolutely. Cool. So put that in the chat. We will draw that in about 48 hours, the winner of that Fifth Vital Sign book from Lisa Hendricks Jack.
And that is such a good resource. It's a great place to get started. Lisa has done a fantastic job gathering just such a wide range of resources and compiling it together and using a language that is easy to understand. Her book is definitely one of the favorites on my bookshelf. And I so much enjoyed having the conversation with her in the interview. With every interview, I felt like I was just talking to a friend. These people that you kind of know about, you know the work they're doing, but then when you start a conversation about a topic you're both so passionate about, it's just you're friends by the end of the conversation. So what a great giveaway, Anna.
Yeah, Lisa's session is great because she gets into how she talks about periods and bleeding with her kids, and she just got a great perspective on that.
Oh, so
hey, you want to bring in?
Yeah, I just love all the comments. Kate,
I know. It's all over the world.
Starting today, and cool. We've got teachers on here and people starting charting. I love it. Love it. Love it. Okay.
Cool. Let's bring in Jenny. So we have, let me bring her in and we can introduce her. Hello, Jenny.
Hey, Jenny, how are you?
I'm doing just fine. Living the quarantine dream.
Yes.
How are you guys?
Doing well.
Great.
Yeah.
It's an exciting day.
It is. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's like unreasonably fun to talk to two other adults at the same time right now. So
yes.
I just couldn't be happier to be here.
That's awesome. Jenny, can you introduce yourself and just tell us how, I mean, now you are a passionate advocate for women and couples using natural family planning. Where does your journey with that begin?
Yeah, well, my name is Jenny Eubing. I live in Denver. I have got 6 wonderful kids, and I have spent the last 10 years like writing about, speaking about, just kind of working in kind of the relational and educational space regarding natural family planning and fertility awareness. And really my like interest and point of reference for this comes from like a more philosophical perspective. I came into a conviction just about like the goodness of the human body and specifically the female body, and a really deeply held, philosophical and ethical position that like our bodies are designed to flourish and our fertility is not a disease. So that's kind of like the framework that I've always operated from. But what I found over the years and over the babies is that living in that framework, there is a point where you have to make that leap from a philosophical conviction to, okay, but how does this really work? How can I actually embrace this? And how can I understand that it's not just going to be like a survival plan where I like endure my fertility until it finally comes to an end and then I can be free from my cycles, but how can I really like embrace the way that my body was designed and move forward with that knowledge, helping me understand like why fertility is actually a beautiful gift and a sign of health. So.
Oh, I love that so much. What a beautiful place to be coming from, to just be amazed by what we as women are able and capable of doing and honoring that.
Right. Yeah. And I think once you shift that, you make that paradigm shift from women are kind of like oppressed by their bodies, or they're kind of burdened by these extra details that people in male bodies aren't weighed down by. Once you flip that script and you start coming from a place of, my body is amazing. Like my fertility empowers incredible things to come into this world creatively. It just really changes the way that you engage with both your own data in terms of like, what is my body doing from day to day and month to month? And also what do I need to maybe like unload from what I've taken in from the culture in terms of what I believe about my body and what I believe about how a good female body should perform, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. That's beautiful. And just changing the mindset there and not just enduring it or suffering through a natural way because I don't want to use artificial hormones. And so this is what's left, is listening to my body, but truly embracing that is beauty, which just fits so well with the whole culture that we're trying to change here. What's interesting, what I want to ask you about, and the way that you've presented this lends well to this conversation, but people have asked me in the past, how do I talk about this decision to use natural family planning, fertility awareness, particularly with people where you might come off as a super judger or like a wacko for doing this. I believe it's become a little bit more mainstream, but you just have a great way of talking about this. So, how would you help people to have the right words to communicate that with others?
That is a great question. I do think, as you said, it's becoming more mainstream. I think as healthcare gets more and more like boutique and bespoke, people are more accustomed to like seeing variation in terms of, well, my neighbor and my sister might be living a little differently than I am, but it's not necessarily like a value judgment. My advice to the women who I've shared this message with is always that we're operating from a position of strength when we embrace the way that we were designed. Because if you admit there is like an intrinsic goodness and a vitality and a health to the way the female body performs, that just starts you from an almost inarguable position. And I think people are a lot more receptive to that when you present your perspective from a place of, I just like really value my body functioning in health and being able to give me like really essential and personalized data about what's going on the inside. And also to get that data in the least invasive and most widely available way, rather than relying on like a lot of intervention and a lot of like maybe invasive medical procedures that could become necessary. You have like the book title that you're giving away, this fifth vital sign, that kind of gives us a superpower as women. Like we just have kind of a leg up in terms of like what's going on with my health emotionally, mentally, physically. We have this variation and we have these baselines that are not static, and it gives us like this really rich depth of knowledge that we can draw from. So I always try to present it to people as not like, oh, how could you live without birth control, but like, why would you want to suppress all of these like unbelievable resources that you could be pulling from? Because I don't know about you guys, but I have a ton of women in my life who struggle with different kinds of chronic illness and chronic conditions and a lot of mental health struggles. And I myself can definitely speak into that. And there's just so much information that we can mine from our own bodies in order to come into a place of collaboration and curiosity with whatever professional you're going to be engaging to help you reach a place of like health and flourishing. So
yeah, that's such important information for, I mean, we can all say, what's the first thing that our healthcare provider asks us when we go into an appointment? The majority of them ask, when was the last day or the first day of your last menstrual period? And I try to drill that into my daughter, and again, it's important to know this. They always ask. And so that's a great way to start. So the baseline of knowing that information, and it's valuable. And I love that doctors are really using this information so that they can customize the approach to healthcare for women. Anything from a health issue that may be going on, from fertility to mental health and everything in between.
Right.
Yeah, I wrote down your beautiful words there, Jenny. Operating from a position of strength. I'm operating from a position of strength and collaboration and curiosity. I think those are the mindset shifts that we can embrace talking to other people, and just knowing I'm operating from a position of strength and I can share my own experience. Like, hey, I learned this thing. This is what I learned about my body. Have you heard this before? I think that's a powerful way where we can be sharing our own experience without a judgment, and just opening up that conversation.
Yeah. And I think that at least when you do have like a philosophical or an ethical or a religious conviction that kind of undergirds decisions you're making about your body, it's important to maintain that curiosity and to grow. I always am telling couples, like, your fertility is not anyone else's responsibility. It's not your doctors, it's not the churches, it's not your mother-in-law's, like it's yours and your partner's. And part of becoming like a happier and more whole adult is continuing to like embrace that and to explore, like, how can we do things better? How can we flourish? How can we be happy? Nobody's going to come and find the perfect combination of whether it's an artificial intervention or not and set it up for you and then kind of like send you on your way. Like, you're going to be the biggest advocate for your health and your happiness and the flourishing of your relationship. So I think that helps people bridge the gap from, okay, I'm doing this because somebody told me it's the best way to go, or I have to I'm choosing this now for my own, from like a place of maturity and also excitement.
That is beautiful. Yes, absolutely. You are in charge. You are responsible for your own fertility, for your own body, for owning that, for learning, for making decisions. Yeah, that's amazing, Jenny. Thank you. Jenny, would you share with those who are listening about how you serve the people that you serve? And you have a membership, right, called Off the Charts. Tell us a little bit about that.
I do, yeah. So Off the Charts is my membership community. It's for people who practice natural family planning. And we do primarily speak about NFP from a Catholic perspective. So there's some language and terminology there that is familiar for Catholics, but we're definitely not exclusive to people who are from another faith background or no faith background. And we do spend a lot of time talking about just like the freedom and the autonomy that we've been entrusted with, and making empowering decisions about your body and about your family and your marriage from a position of strength and ownership, and just not sitting down and waiting for somebody to come fix what's hard about life for you. So the biggest, the thing that I was expecting people would really be, over the years, the writing I've done around NFP, all of the messages and emails I've gotten have always been like, just, why have I never heard this before? Why is there no support? Where can I find support? So I kind of thought like the information that I'd be presenting and the little courses inside the membership would be the thing people were the most excited about. But it's absolutely been the community. Because when you give women especially a place where they feel seen and heard and validated, and they can come together and ask questions and not get like weird answers from strangers on Facebook, or get, a sense of being talked down to in their medical provider's office, then those women start to be able to change the narrative for themselves and for their families. So that's been the biggest gift to me from being a part of Off the Charts. And it's just such an honor to, be in this space, not as a healthcare provider, not as an NFP instructor, just as a fellow kind of pilgrim on the journey who's, got a little bit of experience to share.
Jenny, I've been following your writing for years, and it's beautiful. You're a beautiful writer, and so I want to honor you for stepping into that, for saying, hey, there's a need here to support women, and to just to change a mindset here, and you stepped into that, and are serving women, and I think it's beautiful. So thank you for doing that.
Well, thank you, Anna, and thank you for this incredible, vivacious, and especially in the moment we're in, unprecedented effort that I'm sure it's taken for you guys to pull this off. It's really important work that you're doing, and I thank you for doing it.
Well, thank you. You're so welcome. If anybody's interested in Jenny's membership Off the Charts, we have her listed on cyclepowersummit.com/product-partners. She's a product partner of ours. So head on over there and you can check it out there. Any final thoughts, Mel or Jenny?
Oh, I'm just so excited to be chatting with Jenny. I too have followed you for years, and I love your Off the Charts community. So for women who are interested in it, is this for women who are, so they follow the same philosophical thought? Oh, I cannot talk. Philosophical thoughts, and are they primarily using this for family planning, or is it for women who are also maybe struggling with suboptimal fertility?
Yeah, we do have, I would say our community trends towards, if there were such a thing, I know it's not a real term, but hyperfertility. So
Okay.
really we have a lot of couples who are like, whoa, I've sure been entrusted with a lot. I don't feel like I have the right to speak into the place of suboptimal fertility, but we have instructors from every major method representing inside of Off the Charts. So it's been a real joy to help connect couples with the very best fertility awareness practitioners who can help them, whether they're struggling with fertility that's at one end of the spectrum or the other.
I think that's very well put. Yeah, one end of the spectrum or the other. And what a beautiful community that you do serve, women with hyperfertility. I love that term. But knowing that that is such a beautiful gift, and that we can navigate that, and that support and community is a great place to go to, having that community of support when you are working through the trenches and learning to navigate your body and accept it for all that it has to offer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great work. Thank you so much.
Jenny, thank you so much for joining us for this live kickoff.
Yeah,
it's great to talk with you.
Can't wait for 9:00 tomorrow morning.
Awesome.
A lot's dropping for you. All right, Jenny. Thanks again. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Oh, that was fantastic. I actually don't think I've ever talked to Jenny before.
I haven't either, but we know who she is because we probably both have been reading her for years. That was a lot of fun. Yeah. And that's what's so fun about this is there are just so many resources out there when we're talking about women's fertility, it's a spectrum, right? Hyperfertility to struggling with fertility, infertility, and everywhere in between. And there is support for you no matter where you fall on the spectrum. And that's what we're here for, is to help plug you in with the resources that will best serve you so that you can thrive in your womanhood.
Awesome. Yeah, and we're going to transition right into another amazing woman who is changing things in a dramatic way in women's healthcare. And I want to hear about her story and about what she does. Leah Jacobson was a speaker during the Cycle Power Summit last year in 2019. And it'll be a pleasure to talk with her here on our live kickoff this year. So let's bring Leah in.
Ah.
Hi, Leah.
Hello, Leah.
Hi, ladies. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm not sure where to go.
There you go. Perfect.
You're right in this little thing there. We all somehow got a blue message. So,
oh, yeah.
Right?
I'll stay right here, like right here.
So, welcome, Leah. Thank you so much for being here for our live kickoff. It's a pleasure.
Oh my gosh. It's such an honor, ladies. You guys are doing such fabulous work connecting the fertility community and just helping people realize all these resources. I hadn't heard of Jenny's Off the Charts, and I was Googling it while you guys were talking, and man, that's cool. That's a really cool program.
Yeah.
So many people doing so many amazing things. So Leah, would you introduce yourself? What's your story and what are you doing now?
Yeah, sure. I'm the CEO of Guiding Star Project. I'm the founder of Guiding Star. And we're opening up women's healthcare centers around the country that are really trying to challenge and define women's healthcare as caring for the natural state of women's bodies, defining what is healthy as the natural, unaltered, optimized female body. And that anything that's going to suppress, alter, or destroy one of her natural functions, her fertility, her childbearing, her breastfeeding abilities, that's really what misogyny truly is. That's really what a true hatred of women's body is when you are promoting the destruction and the alteration of a perfectly beautiful and healthy system. And so we're trying to create women's healthcare centers that bring that worldview and make it accessible to women all across our country.
What a beautiful message. It just excites me to hear that, women, we are beautifully made and we should celebrate that. And we're all a little bit different, but we share in these beautiful gifts that you have put out. And let's celebrate that. And let's work to restore it. If it's not working well, let's learn how to work with it if we don't understand it. And that's the road to empowerment right there.
Yeah. It's been a really long journey, I guess, in realizing the value of my own body, as a younger woman and not really understanding how it worked. And as I transitioned into marriage and married life and motherhood and just coming to be in awe of how it was all naturally aligned and seeing the connections between, my fertility and my cycle, and then how that so beautifully moves into pregnancy and then labor and delivery and then moving right into breastfeeding, how at each step along the way, there's this deep distrust almost that our society has kind of programmed into young women. We're taught we're not only not to really understand it, but we're actually given subliminal messages and subconscious messages of distrust. And as I had to overcome that distrust for myself, in each phase of it, like, first of all, can I trust that I'm smart enough to track my cycle when it's not 28 days? Am I smart enough to do that? I don't know. And coming to trust that I could figure that part out. And then coming to trust that my body was made to give birth and to be able to go through childbirth and do that. That was a huge mental hurdle for me. I mean, that was like hard work talking with doulas and midwives and help me get through this, help me to understand myself. And then with breastfeeding, and that's where I ended up kind of settling in professionally as a lactation consultant, recognizing the deep, deep wounds that our culture and society and women's healthcare has inflicted upon women. They don't trust that their body is going to work. They feel like in some way it's broken, that these natural functions are just, for whatever reason, not going to happen. And so I love the work that you're doing with fertility and teaching women from a young age, you were made exactly right. Nothing's wrong. This is right. And so I think that is going to have ramifications, throughout her whole life, her whole childbearing years and well beyond, even into menopause, just that trust of, I'm not a mistake.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
And this is just so beautiful of the journey of womanhood is what you're explaining. And, I keep nodding because I mean, for anybody who has had a child, you've been through that process. But for some of you who maybe have not, or are on the younger side, it is a beautiful process. So I love that you are encouraging women to embrace, be curious, and understand how the body is designed. I'm right there with you. I remember when I, with my first pregnancy, just looking at my belly and thinking, okay, this baby has to get out. How is it going to happen? And so for me, the way I work is the more I know, the more confidence I have. So I just started reading books, and
Yep.
so my interest is in anatomy and physiology and the inner workings of the human body. And so I just kind of studied my way into confidence. And if I knew why I was in pain,
Yep.
then I was okay with it.
Yeah.
But everybody processes it differently. But I think the important part here is that you create the space and you encourage the curiosity to understand that there is a reason behind the whole story of womanhood. And if we can share that, rather than, oh no, we can't talk about that, that's something that's not really appropriate for the circle. It is, there's nothing inappropriate about talking about how the woman's body works.
Yeah, Jenny touched on that. I was listening and I was like, yeah, like go Jenny. Like she's talking about, why can't we have these, or maybe it was you, Anna, that said these normal conversations about where we're at in our cycle, and just having this normalized in our culture that women's bodies naturally and normally functioning, this is what they do. And there's nothing shameful about that. I mean, even normalizing breastfeeding in public spaces, I think, is a huge step forward for us in saying there's nothing shameful or wrong about a woman's body doing what it was created to do.
Yeah, so beautiful.
Amen.
So beautiful and so very important. So, Leah, I'm just would love for you to share about the beautiful work that you're doing with Guiding Star across the nation. So, can you share with our listeners what that looks like right now?
Yeah. Yeah, God's funny. I don't think that I set out to start a revolutionary healthcare system, but I think that's kind of what's actually been forming in Guiding Star. We have 8 centers now across 6 different states. And what really began as us just kind of redefining and defining what women deserved in their healthcare, very quickly became a demand for those type of centers that provide that care. And, in youthful, maybe being naive in my youth, well, why not? Let's do it. Let's just try. And so we just kind of set forward and put out this vision and said, this is what healthcare should be for women. And people stepped forward in different areas across the country and said, I want to do that in my city. We can do this. And so we basically created a model of, we have 4 core service areas in each of our centers, where fertility, childbirth, and breastfeeding, we call those kind of the 3 feminine superpowers. You have to provide support, education, and care in those 3 services. And then we added the additional core area of family life. And so that includes a drop-in child watch on site and material resources for women maybe that are in a difficult situation and need help. But we created kind of an alternative, it's not a pregnancy center, and it's not, a typical women's healthcare clinic. It's this, let's just look at women's needs and meet them holistically where they're at, and bring community providers together into one convenient space. And so we work with a lot of fertility care specialists. We work with lactation consultants, doulas, and midwives. We try to kind of center them together in a location that makes it easy for women to access the services they need. And these providers all share the common philosophy of our definition of women's healthcare, that women's bodies aren't broken. There's nothing wrong. Let's just optimize and educate them to accept and love their body.
Yeah, and I think that's beautiful, especially when we're coming from a place of health. So rather than starting with, okay, what's broken, let's fix it. Let's start with that place of health. That's the normal parameter that we're working with, and then that can be the launch pad. Because when we're talking about women's health, so many times, especially with the use of synthetic hormones, it shuts down a normally operating healthy biological system, and so that's kind of just common these days. But there are women sometimes that struggle with, there may be an imbalance in their system, but knowing where to go for support in that, so that we can look at that restorative approach to get them back up to that optimal level.
Yep. You got to know what's optimal and ideal before you can really address what's wrong.
So important. Yes, absolutely.
And so some of our providers, they do have hormonal replacement therapies, pellet therapies, things to help women in the postmenopausal phase. And I think that's a really important part of this equation as well. Understanding how women's bodies would be optimally happy, performing well, and trying to help them get there in a natural, good, healthy way.
Yeah. And you feel awesome when you're operating from that place.
That's true. And you're not scared. You're not so, there's a lot of fear, when you really don't know what's going on and you go and see a doctor and they can't tell you, they don't understand how to read your chart. They don't know what it looks like. It makes the world very confusing and scary for women. And so we're trying to provide healthcare practices and communities all across the country where you're understood right when you walk in the door. Like,
I love that so much. It's a dream of mine that every woman, it's just common practice that they show up to their doctor's office with their chart in hand. And that's just expected.
What my dream actually is beyond that. I actually dream that our EMR systems, our medical record systems, have integrated charting that it just is loaded into your chart. So when you walk in, your doctor pulls up your chart.
Leah, let's chat. Let's chat off Leah.
I dream big. I dream really big. Like, why can't our EMR systems that our doctors are accessing, that we have access to, through our patient portal, why can't we have our patient portal? And it's just automatically in our medical record.
Yeah.
Amen. Yeah.
Amen for sure.
Full spectrum of healthcare. And I love how you embrace all of those, that whole journey, the preconception, the pregnancy, the postpartum, the process. You had a beautiful quote in our session last year, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but it's those three things where if we're not serving those three pieces, we're not truly serving women.
No. And if you're not serving all three of them, and that's something that I've really struggled with and wrestled with over time is it okay to tell a woman, your breastfeeding is really great. We love how you breastfeed, but we really don't like your fertility. Shut that down. That's not okay. We're sending a really messed up that parts of her are okay and parts of her aren't. And that's not women's healthcare. Women's healthcare looks at what our body would naturally do and embraces all of it and sees it all as influencing her mental, her physical, all parts of her health.
Yeah. So beautiful. So very beautiful.
It is fantastic. So, Leah, I wish we could talk forever about this.
Things to do.
But I want to ask you to, so obviously if somebody has a Guiding Star Center available to them, that is fantastic.
Yep.
Anybody else who's interested in learning more about or getting involved with the mission of Guiding Star Center, how best can they do that? Guiding Star Project. Sorry.
Yeah, no, Guiding Star Project. We're always open to the possibility of coming to a new community. So if you've got great providers in your area and you think, I want to pull this together, contact us, we can do that. But if you're just interested in online resources, we're starting to put out a lot more, like our Cycle Show program is for young girls. We're starting to do a lot more education and webinar series. So please watch for that. My book is coming out the end of the summer, Holistic Feminism. So watch for that.
Awesome.
We're launching all new stuff. So just follow us on Facebook, social media, and we'll have opportunities for you to get involved.
Super exciting. I didn't know you had a book coming out.
No, I didn't either. Like, I love connecting with you. We don't get to connect all that often, but when I do, I'm just always just stunned with beautiful amazement at what's coming out of your wheelhouse. Like, great work. Keep it up.
Oh, God's funny.
From the cute babies to the great work. It's all great.
Oh, there's 7 of them now. It's crazy.
Amazing. Amazing woman. Thank you for your service to women, for all of us in changing this culture, Leah.
Thanks for everything you're doing to pull everything together, ladies. You're awesome.
All right. We'll talk to you later, Leah. Thank you.
Bye, Leah.
Oh, she just gives me the chills.
I know. Me too. It's so fun.
I know. Yeah. We're going to jump right into, in about 10 minutes or so, we get another guest coming on. I'm super excited to talk with her. But first, this has been, and I know you know this, Melissa, we've been working on this Cycle Power Summit for like 8 months now. And none of this, like I like to say, nobody changes the world alone. And this year we have amazing sponsors. And I just want to share about our sponsors right now. Give them a shout out, send you over there. Please, give them the love, tell them they're doing an amazing job, and support them right now. So our sponsors, starting with Mira Fertility. So the Mira Fertility Analyzer and app take the guesswork and stress out of ovulation tracking. Mira Fertility is one of our sponsors for Cycle Power Summit this year. They have a special offer for Cycle Power Summit attendees. Go to try.miracare.com/cycle. and you get a special offer for their Mira Fertility Starter Kit. By the way, all of these sponsors you can find listed on cyclepowersummit.com/sponsors. They're all listed there with these links. ChartNeo. ChartNeo takes proven elements from the top FABM's fertility awareness-based methods and brings them all together in one place for women's health, family planning, and infertility evaluation. You can chart solo or connect with a fertility awareness instructor to learn or refine your skills. And they are found at www.chartneo.com. Melissa, I know you've been a huge part of that team in building ChartNeo. It's super exciting.
Yes, I'm excited to be a part of it. So any questions you have about ChartNeo, I'm happy to answer them for you.
Cool. We're also, Cycle Power Summit is also sponsored by the Prove Test. You can visit provetest.com. I apologize, I am going to have to come back to, for some reason I'm missing some details about Prove. They are an incredible organization. And I know just had, I hope I'm not going to get this wrong, an FDA
approval.
Another step in the FDA. Is it approval? I know there's all these different steps, and I
know that they're on the shelves in Target in California. They're working on getting on the shelves. You can get them on Amazon. It's a great tool to help confirm ovulation. Amy Beckley developed it from her struggle of infertility, and she is a biochemist and was able to formulate this test to help women with objectively identifying their progesterone levels with at-home tests. It really is a phenomenal resource that she has developed.
Yeah, here it is. The first FDA cleared test to confirm ovulation. So officially that's what they, thank you. And I saw Dr. Owen put that in, FDA clearance. That's what we have for Prove. So
awesome. Thank you, Dr. Owen.
You know,
great to have you on here.
I knew the language is a little bit tricky there with the FDA. I know nobody's surprised by that. Another one of our sponsors, Organic Conceptions, your fertility journey reimagined. Organic Conceptions offers an online course designed to optimize emotional health and well-being for conception. Mark Sherman has done incredible work with Organic Conceptions. We talk about it during his session here in the Cycle Power Summit. You'll be able to watch over the next 5 days. And they can be found at organic-conceptions.com. Next, we have the International Institute for Restorative Reproductive Medicine, Together Transforming Reproductive Medicine. They do an incredible job bringing healthcare providers together who are practicing restorative medicine or want to practice restorative medicine, all the kinds of things that we're talking about through the Cycle Power Summit, understanding the body and then actually treating, the underlying issues. So you can find them at www.iirrm.org. Next up, and we have so many incredible sponsors, and I just am so grateful for them. Natural Womanhood is a go-to online resource about fertility awareness, natural family planning, and holistic reproductive health. They're at naturalwomanhood.org. We've got some, Taryn says in the comments, just got my proof strips to use this cycle. Awesome.
Very good.
Okay, next we have FACTS, the Fertility Appreciation Collaborative to Teach the Sciences. FACTS focuses specifically on educating students and medical professionals who can then empower women and engage couples in the care of their reproductive health. FACTS also does an incredible amount of work. They have webinars online, a lot to learn there at factsaboutfertility.org. Next up, we have Chart Your Cycle with Melissa Buchan, and she's right here. Charting more than a method, it's a lifestyle. You can tell us about this.
Melissa. Yeah. So I run an online programs teaching women how to chart their cycle. And I do come from a viewpoint of it's a lifestyle. So we start with the basics. You learn reproductive anatomy and physiology, and then we get into interpreting your chart for your intention, be it family planning or infertility evaluation, or just for self-awareness. And I will be adding in integrative health coaching to that and be rolling out within the next day or so a special new offer for the summit. So looking forward to connecting with anybody who is ready to get started charting their cycle.
Yes, it's so exciting what you've been doing and are continuing to do, Melissa. Thank you for all that service for women. We have two more sponsors, Reproductive Health Medicine and Gynecology. This is Dr. Nicholas Kongoas's practice, providing right now, they are on the forefront of getting approved in so many states to provide telemedicine. Their nationwide comprehensive gynecological practice utilizing telemedicine and focusing on fertility, reproductive, and hormonal health. I know they're approved in more than 40 states right now. And if you can go to rhmgyn.com/schedule-n-appointment. Again, all these links are on the cyclepowersummit.com/sponsors page. So you can visit them there. And lastly, we have Fairhaven Health. Fairhaven Health provides science-based products to help couples naturally conceive, fertility supplements, ovulation prediction tools, fertility lubricants, and much more. They have a huge store of products, and their link is also listed on the sponsors page. They're at fairhavenhealth.com. So again, we couldn't do this without you. I'm so grateful for all of our sponsors, all of the support that they've offered and provided. It's been an incredible teamwork experience.
Anna, you've done a great job of pulling together really the resources that women need. There is something for everybody out there who is listening to this. Again, no matter where you are on the spectrum. So I just want to just high five you, because you have, I know, just done such a beautiful job. And the journey, here we are kicking off tomorrow, and I'm just so excited to learn more about each and every one of these sponsors and the great work that they're doing. So thank you for that. It's a great resource for me, and I've been doing this for 15 years.
Thank you so much, Melissa, for your kind words. I want to look through, before we bring on our next guest, want to remind everybody that our first giveaway is still going on. We're giving away Lisa Hendrickson Jack's book, The Fifth Vital Sign. Just make sure if you've joined us while we've been live, or if you're joining us on the replay, put in the comments, where are you from? And how long have you been charting your cycle? We want to know. This giveaway will be going on for the next 48 hours. We'll choose a winner sometime on Friday, and we'll let you know. So keep putting those comments in. I just want to go back through here. What do you see, Melissa? Give some shout outs to people. Let's see.
So I'm having a hard time getting the comments up. So bear with me, but I do want to say, so Anna is challenging you to let us know how long you've been charting. There's no right or wrong answer. Maybe you've never even heard about this, and that's awesome. The idea is that we can talk about this. It is okay if you've been charting for 16 years like me, or you've never even heard of this, or you tried and you failed and you're ready to give it another shot. Let us know.
I just want to pull up some of these comments. Marianne Trev, I know, is a practitioner, a healthcare practitioner. Yeah. She says, my parents and I joke about, my patients and I joke about giving me a saved uterus stamp every time we stop another hysterectomy. Yeah. Amen. We can save that by restoring health to the body, right?
Yeah, and you know, how many stories do we hear of women think that they're making the right decision by going through that process, and it leads to all sorts of issues down the line that they were not educated about.
Yeah.
So way to save those uteruses.
Amen. Save those uteruses. It's such a silence.
Is it uteri or uteruses? Oh, there's the question of the day. I should know this, and I don't.
Uteri. Oh, okay. Somebody respond in the comments. Like, how do we say multiple uteruses? Jacqueline, it's such a silence taboo. If we see that it affects our mood and health, we should talk about it. Absolutely. Yes. Just acknowledging it with ourselves first, and then realizing that it's okay to talk about that with other women, to talk about with our spouse, with other women. It's so very liberating. It takes the narrative from I'm feeling like a failure to this is my incredible body. And if I can lean in and accept it, your perspective on life completely transforms. Yeah. And it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. Yeah, for sure. I'm loving these comments, Anna. Keep them coming. I know. I'm there's so many. I'm trying to go through. Joanne, I rejected my period as a beautiful and good thing for decades. You're not alone, Joanne. I mean, that's what the culture says. We do this so much. It just tolerate or barely tolerate it, try to suppress it. And we have the power right now to change this culture. So you're so welcome, Joanna. Thank you so much for being here.
And I think it's important to note that even if you have a difficult period or an unruly period or an unpredictable period, that does not mean that it's still not beautiful. And so just don't think that this conversation is just for women who have normal, healthy periods. It's still a beautiful thing, even if it's not doing what it should or if it's making you feel miserable. And sometimes there's a reason behind the misery it could be causing. And so we want to help you connect to those resources so that you can balance it to your normal and restore it, because that leads to restored health and vitality. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, and then we realized that fertility awareness is not rocket science, which doesn't mean it's super easy, right? It doesn't mean that it's easy, but it can be simple, and it's absolutely worth it.
Oh yeah, Anna, you're a girl after my own heart. I say that all the time. It's not rocket science, it's basic biology, but a lot of us still don't understand it because it was never taught to us. So if we take the time to learn the basics, we have an upper hand in this whole game.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. I want to remind anybody here on the chat to make sure that you are registered for a Cycle Power Summit so that you do get access to all of the that you will get the emails and access to all of the free sessions that are happening over the next 5 days. Make sure you're registered at cyclepowersummit.com. It's right there, free pass. You've got it. It'll come to you right away. And starting tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time, you'll have access to day one's sessions. So with that, yeah.
Can we go through what the sessions are tomorrow? Can I list those off?
Sure. Yes.
All right. I'm super excited. Super excited to just talk briefly if we have time.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, let's list off the sessions coming up tomorrow.
Okay, so tomorrow, 9 a.m., you will have access to these incredible sessions. Dr. Pilar Vidal. So it was so fascinating talking to Dr. Pilar. She is an OB-GYN, and her passion is all around ovulation, the little known vital health indicator. And so she gets into the science. She is so knowledgeable about the woman's cycle, and she's dedicated her life to digging into the research. And then Kristen Karchmer, and I think she's joining us in a little bit, one of my favorite conversations. She was so fun to get to know, and a fellow Texan like myself. I can't wait to meet up with her for tacos someday soon. We started the conversation. I knew very little about her, and we were friends by the end. A really fantastic conversation. Lisa Hendrickson-Jack, who we are giving away her book, The Fifth Vital Sign. And her talk is all about it takes a village to create a movement, and really breaking down this taboo that we're talking about. It again, you don't want to miss that conversation either. And so those are the ones I give. So I know what's coming. I'm super excited. But then we have Anna's talks with Dr. Brooke Kalanick. Did I say that correct?
Yeah, Dr. Brooke Kalanick, all about stress. Super useful one, especially right now. We all have a certain amount of, I think, different kind of stress, but understanding where that stress comes from, how stress happens in our body, empowers, I think it has empowered me so much more to understand how it gets there, where it's coming from, how I need to process it so that it doesn't ruin my life, right?
Yeah.
That's a super.
So good.
Yeah.
So good. And then Dr. Teresa Stegan, who is a medical physician, and she will be talking about a very important topic, how to be your own healthcare advocate.
Yeah, another great session. And she was my doctor who helped us get pregnant after 7 years of infertility. So super close to my heart. It's Dr. Stegan.
Yes, and then last but not least is Dr. Marguerite Duane with Facts About Fertility. And her talk is why it feels like your doctor just doesn't get it. And this physician is working in the trenches, getting this information into medical schools. She is changing the narrative, and it's going to be a fantastic session learning about how to talk to your doctor about this important topic.
Yeah, that is also an incredible session. It's going to be so enlightening because I think it's an important narrative that we take around this. You know, I've said in the beginning of this live stream, why don't women know? Like, why didn't I know about this? Why did my doctor tell me? And it's easy to get into a conversation where we're blaming doctors, where we're just almost bad mouthing that whole system. But this session with Dr. Marguerite Duane is going back to understanding why. Okay, here's what they're actually taught in medical school, and here's why they don't know. So, and just accepting the fact that that's where we are. So how can we move forward with that knowledge, not in a fighting way, but in an understanding way, and in a way that we can begin dialogue in a productive way with our healthcare providers.
I can't wait to turn into that session. It is so important that we have that respectful dialogue, and that we come from a place of no judgment, but to be an advocate and request the care that you want, but understanding where the physician is coming from as well. So beautiful.
Yeah. Hey, we've got our next guest ready in the waiting room, and I'd like to bring her on, Kirsten Karchmer. Let me see if we can get her. Hi, Kirsten.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi, Kirsten. Good to see you.
I know you've got a little tiny thing here. You kind of got to be in the middle.
I got to figure out there we go. That's better. I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Fantastic.
Good. It's great to see you again.
You too. I'm so excited to listen to all the conversations. I mean, there's so many amazing people that you guys were able to come together around this summit. And I think that the timing just couldn't be better right now. So many people are at home and worried, and that is compromising your health too. And I always feel like the more information I have about everything, the less stress that I feel. So thank you guys again for doing all the labor to bring all these amazing people together and have so many fantastic conversations. I'm expecting to learn so much myself.
Yeah, there's so much good information, and you're right. Knowledge is power. Mm-hmm. The more we know, the more we can do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for your kind words, Kirsten. And you have such a great session on the Cycle Power Summit, and I'm excited to share it with everybody. What we didn't get in your session, and I'd like to invite you to talk about, is you have such a powerful story of that healing, of understanding what, okay, something going on with my body. How can I help to heal that? And I would love for you to share your story with our listeners today and our viewers.
My personal story?
I'm sorry?
My personal story? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Yeah. So when I was growing up, I was a little type A kid, and I was a competitive athlete. I was a gymnast and then a competitive tennis player. And, I worked my banana off every single day on hot courts and in hot gyms. And then when I was 18 years old, one day I was playing tennis, and I threw the ball up in the air, and I hit my serve, and the racket fell out of my hand. It was about 1,000 degrees, Melissa, as you know, in Texas in the summer it can be so hot. And I thought, oh, well, my hand must be sweaty. So I wiped off my hand, I threw the ball up, and again, and the racket flew out of my hand. And I had kind of a fancy racket, and I was like, shit, I don't want to break my racket. So just one more time, really dried off my hands, and threw the ball up and hit it, and realized that I didn't have any strength in my hand. And I was like, whoa. And it was so profound that I stuck my tennis racket in the trunk of my car, and I didn't play tennis for months. Because I was like, I knew something was so wrong. And over the course of, a year and a half or so, I couldn't walk without a cane. And I was really, really sick. I had been to a lot of doctors, and the doctors kept telling me like, oh, you're just stressed. Nothing's wrong with you. You're just faking. And I was like, I'm an athlete. If I'm going to fake anything, it's not going to be something that makes me not want to walk. There might be plenty of other things I'm all about faking, that I might do. And so ultimately I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And I've been to a bunch of doctors. And at that time, the medications for multiple sclerosis were not very new, very old. And there was no 10-year longitudinal studies on those. And I felt like, I don't want to start taking any drugs that haven't been tested for 10 years. I'm going to hang out and wait. And so I had taken a job. I was a cultural linguist at the time, and I had taken a job teaching in Korea for the next year. And I started doing the Korean Special Forces training, which is like the Korean Special Forces training. And why I started is because I wanted to be able to weaponize my disability, because I used a cane. And in the Korean Special Forces training, they use a lot of canes and sticks and all kinds of things. So I was like, well, Korea is like the safest place in the universe. I didn't know that though. And so I was like, well, I don't, I'm a 18-year-old disabled, 20-year-old disabled girl. I want to be able to like crack some heads with my cane. And one of my classmates was an acupuncturist, and she said, would you just go and see, I had a lumbar puncture, which means they had taken fluid out of my spinal cord, and the tiny hole that they had made in my spinal cord, so infinitesimal, one needle was so small, but my body was too tired to close it. And so I was leaking cerebral spinal fluid all the time. And at some point, I would leak out enough internally that I would just pass out. And that would happen 4, 5, 6 times a day. I'd be teaching, and I have this like very crazy personality. So I'd be like, it seemed like the lights were turning off when it was about to happen. And I'd be like, hold on. So I'd be in teaching, I'd lay down, I'd like, hold on. And then the cerebral spinal fluid would equalize, and then I'd be okay, and I'd teach some more. And my friend was like, I really want you to go see an acupuncturist. And I was like, that's like going to a psychic. There's no way I'm doing that. That's like a load of shit. And she's like, no, you don't have any other options. You've been to every doctor. You're 20 years old, use a cane. This is bullshit. I think he can help you. If anything, maybe he can help you to close the hole. And I was like, I already had surgery. That's never going to work. And she's like, look, would you just go one time and see what happens? So I was like, okay, I'll go, just to humor her. So I go. I was a complete asshole. I was like, didn't think anything was going to happen. I hid my cane. I could kind of walk without a cane. I just fell a lot. So I hid my cane. I hid my chart. This Chinese doctor comes in. He starts feeling my pulse, and he's sitting there feeling pulses, and he says, oh, you're so tired. I was like, fuck you. Everybody's tired. Whatever. That's nothing. That's like psychic. There's a man. Oh, it's my dad. And then he sits there and he feels pulses longer, and he says, oh, you cannot digest food. And I was ravenous all the time, especially for so hungry all the time. But I would have watery diarrhea like 10 times a day. And I was like, okay, that's true. And then he says, feels a little bit longer, and he says, you have muscle weakness? And I was like, okay, actually I have multiple sclerosis. And he starts clapping. He's like, oh, it makes perfect sense. And I was like, makes perfect sense? And he's like, look, we've been feeling pulses for 5,000 years. Imagine if you played guitar for 5,000 years, how intimate you would become with the strings on your guitar. So much so, if anybody changed your string in the tiniest way, you would notice. If they changed the tension, you would notice. He's like, so when we're feeling your radial artery, we can notice very, very, very small changes that can happen. They give us diagnostic cues about your health. And on your pulse, the one around where we feel for digestion is empty, which means when I press through, you can't feel anything. He said that means there's no energy available to take the food that you're eating, to break it down, to turn that into energy, to extract the nutrients, to make blood, to nourish the neurologic and the muscular system. That's why you have diarrhea. That's why you're so tired. And that's why your muscles and neurologic system don't work. And I was like, wow, that's probably the smartest thing I've ever heard in my whole life. That's it. You're right. That's exactly how I feel. And he said, look, when you were born, your constitution was very strong, and you had multiple sclerosis. So it looked, see if I can get on the camera. Your constitution was low. Your constitution was strong. Your disease was weak. And he said, but then you trained your ass off every single day, 8 hours a day. And he's like, and your constitution, we think that makes us stronger to train more. He said, but you were depleting yourself over and over and over again. Even though you were I threw up every day when I trained. I would get overheated and throw up. And I was like, oh, that's normal. My parents were like, that's normal. You're working hard. And so he's like, our job is to make your constitution stronger than your disease again. And then you should go into remission. And I was like, well, I like the sound of that. Let's do that. And so I started, I say, oh, acupuncture cured your MS. I still have MS. I don't have any active symptoms. I haven't had any active symptoms in 20 years. If I don't take care of myself, I certainly can start leaning towards something's going to happen neurologic pretty quickly. But the reality is it's like, if we look at Chinese medicine, putting needles in is one of the tools. The best thing that we can borrow from Chinese medicine is the ability to look at the whole system. Like that doctor didn't say, oh, you have multiple sclerosis, let's give you herbs for muscle weakness. He's like, oh, the whole picture is this kid's been an elite athlete her whole life. And she throws up a lot from when she trains. She has no menstrual cycle, blah, 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 blah. And in that moment, like that day, I became an acupuncturist. I was like, I'm going to acupuncture college. I went back to graduate school again. I studied Chinese medicine. And during that time, I realized, wow, in addition to all those other things that doctor was looking at, the menstrual cycle, each piece of the menstrual cycle gives us such unbelievably valuable feedback information about every single aspect of our health. So even just the volume of menstrual blood tells us a lot about how well we turn food into energy and break down the nutrients to make marrow, to make blood, to make a uterine lining, to make menstruate. And if you have a little scanty bleeding or clotty bleeding or too much bleeding, all of that, we can discern so much. And so that was like 30 years ago. And then here I am surfing all over the world.
Wow.
Wow.
Right now, because I'm sheltering.
That is an incredible, incredible story. Thank you so much for sharing, and just how that journey brought you to be an advocate for the menstrual cycle.
So much hope. I mean, I know that so many people would say, okay, MS, I'm just going to have to deal with it. This is what I'm experiencing. I'm just going to have to change my lifestyle. I'm going to have to quit being an athlete or whatever to do that. But no, there's so much hope. There's so much hope.
I think that, the important piece of it is that people they're like, oh, you have MS. Can you help me with my MS? And I'm like, yeah, but you have to know that there's never a magic pill for any of these things, whether it's like endometriosis or polycystic ovarian syndrome or multiple sclerosis or any other chronic condition. The way to fix them is to fix everything. And that includes especially your habits. Like for me, even though I'm like a chronic overachiever, take on more than I can ever possibly do, I can't work 8 hours straight. So I have to work for 6 hours and then I must nap. If I don't do that every single day, I will get sick. I will start having problems, right? I have to pay instead of paying just to my menstrual cycle, I pay attention to my signs and symptoms every day. And if they're getting tweaky, then I know I'm not resting enough. I'm eating too much junk food. I'm drinking too much alcohol. I'm not cooking enough at home. I'm not meditating enough. What's my mindset? I mean, especially right now, I think it's a really valuable conversation is like, I think that the most contagious thing that's out there is fear. Corona is incredibly contagious, but fear is equally contagious. And as we embody literally our fear, that will manifest physically, but also it is contagious. So the people that we're connecting with also kind of can get that. And that's not good either. I kind of got off on a tangent. Sorry.
No, I think that it's so beautiful and a message of hope, as you're sharing your story. And I think a lot of people are like, first of all, curious of how in the world did you overcome something like MS? But you're giving little hints that it's not about like an either or, if I had to throw away all of the wine that I love and all of the junk food and all of this or that, but you're learning how to calibrate your body and to feed its own specific needs. So it's not throw out everything that I may enjoy or love, but knowing how to balance that, knowing that meditation and sleep are so important and how to interweave that into your daily fabric of life so that you can have the optimal health. So it's not throwing everything bad out the window, it's striking that balance.
What I think is the piece that's missing is that, for example, I say that if you are have a condition that you're trying to restore your body, you do need to pull back more on all of the things that are not especially helpful to us. It just makes the process go slower. But even if we look at insomnia, people say like, okay, well, I just can't sleep more than 6 hours. Well, there's diagnostic information there, right? We can learn. So then that gives us the cues of, what are the other solutions or interventions we have to create? So when somebody says I can only sleep 6 hours, one, I want to know how much menstrual blood they have, because you'll see a tight correlation with insomnia and scanty menstrual bleeding and hemorrhagic menstrual bleeding. But also it's like, okay, well, you have insomnia. Is it because you can't fall asleep or you can't stay asleep? Those are two different trajectories. How long are you staying awake? Is it because you're tired during the day, then you're drinking too much caffeine during the day, but then you're too wired, then you're drinking too much wine? And now you have like the gas and the pedal and the brake of alcohol and caffeine keeping you awake? Is it because you're eating a food that you're sensitive to? Is it because you don't have enough blood to anchor you in sleep? Is it because you're eating too many spicy foods? Like all the factors. And so each one of those gives us another place to start looking. And so actually you don't have to fix everything. If you're really persistent and you keep diagnosing back to all those things, you usually can find one or two critical things that unlock all of the other behaviors. That's my whole work.
Wow, that is fascinating.
It makes absolutely so much sense. And we know there are some particular products, and I want to have time for you to share those. Kirsten, what does, can you explain what Brazen offers? And I know we have a giveaway. Kirsten has a giveaway for us. So just tell us a little bit about what you offer, and you have a couple incredible products, and then what your giveaway entails. And I'll tell everybody what they need to do to qualify for your giveaway. But you just tell us about your products.
Yes. So first of all, our company is called Brazen. We called it Brazen because brazen means to overcome something shameful with swagger. When we looked at the data around PMS and cramping and saw that more than 80% of women had significant and life-interrupting menstrual pain and PMS, I was fucking flabbergasted. I was like, how can we be in the middle of a women's movement? And so we decided to do something about it. But in order to actually help women, we have to break down the stigma associated with menstruation, because no one's talking about the problems of menstrual pain and PMS, including the women who are so sick from their periods, they're vomiting and passing out every month. And it's my hypothesis that a lot of that comes from just social stigma and the conditioning that we have that menstruation is basically, and pain and suffering during menstruation is basically our right as women. Like, that's what it means to be a woman. And so we developed two formulas, one for PMS, we developed two formulas. My son's making cereal here. Two formulas, one for PMS and one for cramping. And what's really interesting is I talk to women all the time and I'll say, well, do you have PMS or cramping? They're like, I have really bad cramping. I was like, okay, but what about PMS? And they're like, no, I don't have PMS. I'm like, oh, wow, that's shocking. You don't have like bloating, breast tenderness, fatigue, anxiety, insomnia, acne, bowel changes. Like, no, I have all of those things. I'm like, that's PMS. And what's really important is that we do, like, so many women just think like, oh, well, that's just part of being a woman. Like, I suffer around my period. The reality is that PMS and cramping are indicators of other health problems. It doesn't necessarily mean you have a disease state. It doesn't mean you have endometriosis or polycystic ovarian syndrome or other conditions necessarily. It does tell us that something is not optimal. And so we developed these two formulas. One is for cramping. So if you have cramping during your period, when you are bleeding, if you have pain, this formula, we built this formula over 20 years in my clinic with over 10,000 women, will significantly change the cramping, clotting, and heavy bleeding associated with your period. It won't be perfect the first month, but essentially what will happen is the first month, it should be at least 50% better. The second month, it'll get better. The third month, it will get even better. You should be very shocked how much better it is. Then we have the PMS formula. PMS is what happens from around ovulation until your period. So any symptom, there could be 40 different symptoms, any symptoms that you're dealing with that happen between cycle day 14 and when you start bleeding that get better once you start bleeding are considered PMS. And those symptoms will be significantly, especially the mood, acne, and bowel changes and bloating will get significantly better in the first month. Again, especially the mood changes. Many of our patients who are, we can't call them patients anymore if we don't see them personally, our customers who have PMDD have been really shocked at how much better their symptoms are when taking this formula. I always say, like, if you have both, if you have really bad cramping and you have even moderate PMS, you should take both formulas, because when you have PMS, when the liver has to break down all the hormones. At the end of the menstrual cycle, if it can't break down those hormones, it gets like tight. Everything gets constricted, which means fluids can't move through your breast. That's why they get swollen. It means fluids can't move through your intestines and food can't move. That's why you have bowel changes. Your emotions get tight. That's why you either get depressed or irritable or anxious. And also what gets tight are the arteries and the blood supply to the uterus. They get constricted as well, which impedes the blood flow to the uterus, which can cause clotting and cramping. So if you have PMS and you take the PMS formula, you're actually paying it forward for getting rid of the cramping if it's associated with PMS. If you don't have PMS, you don't need to take it. We're just about to launch the first ever app that can fix your period. So we're really excited about that. So what we're always talking about is there's no magic pill. So we make magic pills, but there's a statement of fact in Chinese medicine that we love that is a guiding principle for us. And it says, the good doctor treats the patient, the great doctor treats society, and the master makes herself obsolete. And so we're building software that actually makes our supplements obsolete. So if you can understand, like we talked about before, I have severe PMDD. Well, what does the ecosystem look like in which it's producing the side effect called PMDD? And we use our diagnostic algorithm to be able to understand how are all those pieces fitting together, and then create highly customized behavioral health solutions to start fixing those problems. Most people use the supplements for a couple of months to sort of get on top of the crisis problems that are happening, because when you feel like shit, you don't want to make behavior changes. And then suddenly they can use the behavior change to, and they don't need the supplements anymore. So that's not quite ready. It's in beta testing. If you want a beta test, shoot me an email. I'll send you the content information. It's a little bit janky right now. So, but it's getting better all the time. But the supplements will make an enormous difference in your life. If it doesn't, shoot me an email and I'll give you all your money back. Like, all I can do is make a difference. There's like, since we launched the company a year ago, 2 people have asked for refunds. So the 200 people who subscribed, 100 wrote 5-star reviews. So anybody who has a company out there, a review, 50% of the people writing 5-star reviews is a really good thing. So we are, our, what are we calling it? Our giveaway, yes, is a 3-month supply of Brazen, both PMS and cramping formula. Plus you can have our consultation personally with me about whatever you want to talk about.
Awesome. Did you say 3 months?
Yes.
Awesome. Wow, that's amazing. 3-month supply of Brazen, both the PMS formula and the cramping formula, and a consultation with Kirsten. Kirsten, I just love you. I love how your story of struggle just constantly brings into my mind, we can do hard things. We can do hard things, you know, especially when we can take that hard thing and say, okay, what is my opportunity here? You know, what is my opportunity for healing? What is my opportunity for strengthening? What is my opportunity then, like you have done, to go out and help other women, you know, restore their lives? And it's just such an incredible story. And thank you so much. It's just amazing. So I with that, it speaks to the strength of story, and that's what I want to center this giveaway around. I would like to hear from you, and from people who are listening, and I'm going to post in the comments. I want to know, and once you share in the comments, when it comes to your cycle, your period, or your women's health journey, I want you to finish this statement, and then I realized. Okay, because I think this could just be such a powerful way for us to share our stories. And then I realized, I want to know, what was a turning point for you in your journey? You can share that with others. Again, we'll keep this giveaway open for the next 48 hours. So everybody has, you know, who on replay has a chance to participate and share their story here in the comments. Just remember, you know, everybody's story matters, big or small. And then I realized that my period started. Fine. You know, that story, and that's powerful because somebody else is going to connect with that as a big moment. They're going to remember that big moment in their lives, and you're going to touch, you know, make that emotional connection with somebody. So please share your story. And Kirsten, just thank you so much. Thank you for the work that you do, you have done, you do, you will continue to do for women and the lives that you have changed. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much. 2 things that I always want to have the last word.
Go.
So I loved what you said about possibility and doing hard things. And one of the things that I want to almost leave on is my father was not alive. He's not alive anymore, but he was very influential to me. And he told me something almost every day. He said, everything is possible. Everything is possible until you allow your mind to tell you something different and believe it. And so whatever, you know, the community who are listening to this broadcast and this beautiful event, whatever it is that you're struggling with, you know, from I can't walk anymore, or how the flip am I going to pay my bills because I lost my job? Or, I mean, there's a lot of crisis all around us. I encourage you just to take on that mantra that every single day, like every time you take a sip of water, you just keep programming yourself. Everything is possible. Everything is possible. And I feel strongly that, that in the face of adversity, and there is plenty of it right now, that there is nothing but possibility on the other side of it. And so we have to decide, okay, we're either going to program ourselves to be every single second looking for where is that opportunity, where is that relining now because I think that's more fun. Where is that beautiful grace in all of these challenges that we never thought possible? Like my boyfriend is a startup founder too, and he thought, all of our companies were like, our company's going to make it, and are we going to be able to do this? And they just got a grant from the government, like a huge grant, like more money than they could possibly imagine, to use the technology that they're building to put people back to work in factories. And I was like, there you have it, silver, but you have to be looking for it.
Yeah.
Because there's too much bad stuff happening everywhere. All you can pay attention to, like, oh my God, it's so bad. Oh my God, it's so bad. Oh my God, it's so scary. You have to keep finding, like, where is the tiny little jelly bean of goodness all throughout the day.
Yeah. Beautiful. I love your last word. Thank you, Kirsten. I won't say anything else.
I'm just giving her the last word.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here, for being part of the Cycle Power Summit, for your beautiful story of your journey, Kirsten.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. I can't wait to watch.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, guys.
Oh,
She's so awesome.
yes. She's just the energy and what she's done is incredible.
Yeah. Yes. Just such a positive energy. And it's so important that we do focus on what's positive. So I'm going to carry her words with me throughout this day.
Yeah, for sure. We can do hard things.
Mm-hmm.
We're about to wrap up our live kickoff, but we actually have one more, a third giveaway that I want to announce. And this one is about sharing. I'm going to ask you guys to share a post because, like I was talking about in the beginning of our kickoff live today, it is one thing for us to realize, for us to gain knowledge through these sessions that you are going to see over the next 5 days. You will learn something. I've learned things, and I've been in this industry for years. You are going to learn a lot. The next step then is for you to do something with it and to share it with other people. I said in an email I sent out, I think it was this morning, this is kind of where my job ends, where our job ends, Melissa, and you who are listening and who are watching, this is where your job begins. It begins on that path to healing, like Kirsten was talking about, understanding, okay, this is what's going on. How can I fix this? How can I, live a full life? And there's so much knowledge and so many opportunities with this, but we also need to change the culture around this. And that's how we're going to change the face of women's healthcare. So I'd ask you to share a post. I'm going to put this in the comments.
And Anna, as you're typing, that just gave me chills. It's so the essence of the spirit of the Cycle Power Summit that, you're right. We've put in the work, and now it's up to everybody who is tuning in. And I am giddy with excitement to see what that's going to look like on the other side of the summit.
Me too. I'm sorry. I had it from downstairs. There was like a big crash. So I went on mute for a second. Okay. I'm going to share this. Please share this post with somebody. I hope that's going to come up properly. That's the post we want to get out there. It talks about what the summit's about. It invites people to register for Cycle Power Summit. Thank you so much. Thank you for being a part of this journey with us. We're super excited to release the first day's sessions tomorrow. Remember, each day of the summit, all the sessions for that day will be released at 9 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time. You will get an email, but you also have access to the Cycle Power Summit dashboard, and you'll have links to everything there. So I love all of these responses coming in, and then I realized
they're so good.
And we can spend the next 30 minutes bringing them up on the screen and talking.
But they are so great.
Awesome. Thank you, Melissa. Any closing thoughts here?
It's just so good to be here with you, Anna. It's such an honor to be a contributor to this project. You have pulled together an amazing team, and you have worked so diligently to get this into the hands of women. And it's just an honor, and I'm excited for every one of you who are watching live or on replay. You're in for a real treat. These people are so good and full of so much knowledge, and I just cannot wait again to see what the other side of the summit looks like.
Yeah. As you were talking, and thank you for those kind words, Melissa. And it's been an incredible. We have an amazing team, and I'll share more about the team, throughout the course of the summit. But I realized I forgot to say what the giveaway is for sharing the post. We're giving away a set of Gabrielle Lichterman's menstrual cycle tracker and guided journal. So we have Gabrielle Lichterman in a session of Cycle Power Summit. She's amazing. She started My Hormonology, just really understanding how to live your cycle during the different phases, and what your superpowers are in those different phases. She's got a great set of journals, and so we'll give that away. We'll pick a winner based on who has shared that post that we've put in the comments. And so all 3 giveaways, then we will announce winners in approximately 48 hours sometime on Friday afternoon. So thank you all again so much for being here. We've consistently had 100 people here on live, which is so exciting. And I know there are going to be tons more on replay. And we get started tomorrow.
All right, let's do it.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you again soon. Make sure you're registered, cyclepowersummit.com. Make sure you're registered for the summit. Okay. Take care, guys. Have a great day.